Nobody hears me.
Alright, here we go.
No. It's ready?
Alright, what's up guys? I'm here with people. What's up?
Hello, people.
Just give me a countdown when you're ready.
Sure thing. We'll start it up in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck.
Thanks.
Good luck.
Yeah, this is Sonic Advance 2. And this game is kind of a direct sequel to Sonic Advance. It both plays similarly and not very similarly. So this combo is using an ability called an air dash, which is really important. Exclusive to Sonic only, which he also has in Sonic Advance 1. And basically, when you air dash, you're pretty much cutting air drag and moving faster. And you pretty much want to do it whenever possible if you want extra distance, or if you're going downhill, or you want to get out of ball mode, etc, etc. And the thing is, in this game, it also lets you keep boost mode, which is what was introduced in this game. And it's what allows you to go really fast.
Yeah, it's the most important thing.
If you think about this game as a speed run, it's pretty much about air tech and keeping boost mode as much as you possibly can.
Yeah, that was Act 1. Act 1 and 2 are pretty straightforward.
Yeah, one thing we should probably get into is that boost mode, you gain it faster when you have more rings. And of course, it's dependent on keeping your speed up. You keep your speed up high enough for long enough, which time decreases as you have more rings. You'll enter boost mode and get a bunch of extra speed. If you slow down too much for too long, you lose boost mode and not be going faster. Obviously, that's not what we want.
And the other primary methods to gain boost mode is certain horizontal springs give you boost mode, boost pads give you boost mode as well. I think that's it off the top of my head. So a lot of routes focus on trying to work around finding ways to get boost mode as soon as possible. Oh, that was close.
Yeah.
So bosses in this game are auto runners, you're constantly running, and contrary to popular belief, Sonic is one of the best characters for most bosses actually, if not the best. Because air dashing is so useful for these auto running sections, and it's pretty much Sonic's the only character who can really catch up to the bosses easily and quickly and reliably, and get hits really quickly.
Yeah, the bosses in this game are a load of something, which Paul will probably prefer I didn't say on the stream. but yeah, the general idea is that Sonic's tech, especially his air tech, gives you a really good chance to manipulate where you are in relation to the boss, which is huge against all of them.
And what else is going on? Yeah, this first act of this zone is one of the most famous ones because it's just going really, really fast, and the level design accommodates for Sonic's air dashing really nicely.
Yeah, it's pretty consistent on that one. Not really many spots where you could just mess up something.
It's a really consistent level. Act 2 is also not too bad. Oh yeah, so this game also has obligatory rails. Rails are technically in Sonic Advance 1, but they aren't really many, and they're not required either. But in Advance 2, you're actually required to ride on rails to beat certain levels, and generally speaking, you land on a rail if you land on the flat base of a rail. Otherwise, you will just fall through it.
Yeah, rail mechanics vary wildly throughout the Advance series, and I don't think they ever got it completely right, although by Advance, they were pretty good.
I'd say they're better in Advance 3, but still very iffy.
Yeah, it's not
Like,
it's not consistent with some of the landing.
I mean, they improved. Like, you have to at least say that. But
They
it's
did
like,
improve. And when the Rush games came out, rails are mostly actually pretty solid. But yeah, this boss actually has 2 phases. It's probably gonna be dead by now. But Sonic works really well for the boss because since he can catch up so quickly, he can get multiple hits by just rolling, and you need to hit the cannon 8 times and Eggman himself 4 times after that.
Yeah, and then you basically just, you know about when Robotnik is going to be shooting based on feel and You know, because his shot frequency depends on how many times you've been hit, correct?
He speeds up when he shoots, yeah, but there's no luck involved.
Okay, yeah. So you can, based on experience, know about how you're doing and just manipulate it based off that. And now we're back into where another
Music
level
Dance.
of yeah,
It's
one of those levels.
one of those levels. It's basically a casino zone in a sense, except even more of a mess. Combo at the very start of the level, combo went backwards for a bit because what you wanted for the ideal strat in this level, you need to get a fast start, and to get a fast start, you have to press right when the game says go. But he missed it, so he has to kind of do a little backup strat to gain some speed to get boost mode early.
Yeah, didn't get
There's
the...
a lot of spots in this stage where you just come to a complete stop and lose boost mode. Thankfully, air dash mitigates a lot of it.
Yep. It's a really bad level to do with the other characters.
Yeah, it's not that bad with Sonic. It's pretty terrible with anyone else.
Yeah, like if you look at how many characters other than Sonic have runs on Advanced 1 and Advanced 3, like there's so much more play for other characters besides Sonic and the other two than there is for Sonic Advanced 2. And there's a reason for that.
Well, Cream is actually has the most runs on speedrun.com, but that's because people don't want to deal with the bosses, which is fair.
That's like an exemption because you can literally cheese the bosses with Cream.
Yeah, like the reason why other non-Sonic characters are typically not interesting in this game is because like this game is all about boost mode, and Sonic's air dash accommodates for it really well, making him really fun. But other characters have aerial abilities that don't complement this.
A Sonic game designed for Sonic. Who'd have thought?
I know, but Sonic actually being the best character in the game. Who would have thought?
Has that actually happened? Like the
What happened?
2D Sonic games where Sonic is actually the fastest? This is usually Knuckles or Tails.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever the fast. Well, I don't know if he's the fastest than Sonic 2. I'm pretty sure Knuckles is faster.
Sonic and
Knuckles definitely not.
Sonic and Knuckles in Sonic 2 for the Genesis have pretty similar ceilings in terms of how fast they can go. Knuckles technically could be a little bit faster, I think, but not by much. That said, getting a really optimized time as Knuckles is harder than getting a really optimized time as Sonic. So they're pretty close to equivalent, actually.
So Combo was trying to go for a quick kill on the fight. If you time it properly, you can barely land on the top of the tower and then spin dash in place and get 8 hits.
Check him.
Yeah, the quick kill here actually really tight.
It's really cool.
Yeah.
You can beat the boss in like 5 seconds. It's great. But
I had it, but nah.
yeah,
Dropped it.
happens. Hey, 2-2-2-2. That was your time.
Yep.
So Twinkle's not Ice Paradise? It's Ice Paradise, right?
Yeah.
Simon is also calling you out in chat, Kirby.
I saw, yes. Yeah, Ice Paradise is a really cool zone. It flows really well with air dash as well. It's difficult to keep boost mode, but it's pretty satisfying, and if you can maintain it, then a lot of the stage goes by really quickly.
Yeah, this is probably my favorite stage to watch, or these stages.
Oh, did you learn the Eggtopia 2 route or no?
I forgot it.
Oh well, it's fine.
Yeah, I learned it at some point, and then I think I used it at the NASA marathon,
I
but
see.
I forgot it after that.
I forced myself to learn it because you kind of have to use it for the Chaos Emerald.
I'll probably eventually learn that again.
Yeah, so Combo actually got a speed shoes in that level, which is really nice. The speed shoes aren't as important in this game, but they're still nice for a lot of extra air mobility, even with boost mode.
Yeah, pretty much the extra speed helps you get boost mode quicker, helps you keep boost mode more easily, and if you lose it, it's not as big of a deal.
Because you can get boost mode really quickly by just running if you have speed shoes. This game also kind of has a mechanic with air mobility where the more rings you have, the more air mobility you have. So it's a lot easier to like move horizontally whether you want to gain speed or slow down. It's much easier with more rings, and that's actually pretty important. So generally speaking, you want to try not to avoid losing rings whenever possible in this game, because having more air mobility always gives you more power and control. Beautiful for Sonic.
Also, yay, sub-pixels.
Sub-pixels!
Sub-pixels are what made him stop his momentum there on that slope instead of just running through it, basically. It can absolutely just not stop him there.
Yeah, there's a lot of spots in this game where that can happen. So there is a really fast quick kill for this fight. Where if you get the right angle after that slope jump, you can jump hit Eggman 8 times in a row. It's not very consistent, but it's really cool if you get it.
Yeah, he wasn't far off it here.
Yeah, the most common outcome is getting 3 to 4 hits if you know how to do it.
I just want to get sub-30s for the score count.
Get the max score.
Yeah, if I don't get the quick kill, I just want that sub-30.
So you notice combos of using the slope here. The slopes are not random. As long as if you're familiar enough with the bosses, you can tell when they're gonna come uphill or downhill. And he's abusing a mechanic with slope jumping, where if you jump off an uphill slope, you gain a lot of extra height, and vice versa. If you jump downhill, you gain speed but lose height.
I'll take a death.
And that can be abused for bosses. Oh, I hate it when that happens. Yeah, so just something to note about the jump pads. You actually gain extra speed and distance depending on when you press jump off the jump pads. And it actually varies depending on when you press jump. In fact, if you press jump on the last possible frame off that jump pad, you'll just fall straight into the pit if you don't trick. So, kind of... So like every time you use a jump pad, you have to keep in mind the varying amount of variance and distance there could be. Usually this is not a big deal, but in case of the start of the stage, it does matter for us.
Yeah, and there's a lot of tech here to try to gain and maintain boost mode when you can, because there's a lot of benefit to having boost mode in different parts of the stages here in the zone. So, like you can see, at this point he had boost mode and he was able to just fly over all that stuff. If he didn't have boost mode, it wouldn't have been nearly as fast, and a lot of times it forces you to go to slower paths. So getting rings, keeping rings, and getting these boost mode techs are really important in these stages.
It's also important in this zone in particular because this zone is kind of, it doesn't look like it if you're not familiar with the game, but it's actually a zone where you're kind of constantly climbing. If you like look at the map, the map is really huge, and that's because the general direction of the map is you're kind of going diagonally right up the entire time.
Yeah, and these air tricks that he's using a lot of times are as much to kind of slow him down as anything, but he keeps boost mode while he's doing them, so they give him a little bit of a buffer there to keep his boost mode and still get where he wants to go when he needs to go there.
We never really talked about tricks in this game. Tricking is something, a mechanic introduced in this game that's also in a lot of other 2D games. Basically, whenever you hit a trick or a jump pad or a air hoop, you can do a trick in one of 4 directions: forward, backwards, upward, down. And Sonic has one of the best sets of tricks in the game. His forward trick is really good. His back trick is also good, which is kind of a little backflip, because it lets you maintain a lot of horizontal speed while gaining a little bit of height. And his up trick is really solid as well. His down trick, which is a bounce attack, is really slow and you'll never want to use it. The reason why it's nice is because he keeps boost state with all those tricks besides the down trick.
That was an interesting death.
This boss. Oh, okay.
This boss is very notorious for a good reason.
Yeah, that boss, I mean, that was kind of an interesting death. He like got hit into the hitbox of another part of the boss. The main reason this boss is notorious is, of course, the hand, because it can trigger a crush death because of a quirk in the programming, when normally it wouldn't necessarily be that deadly, it would just hit you. So you have to be really careful when you attack the boss while the hand is still active, which optimally you won't be killing the hand, you'll be killing the turret and Robotnik at most.
That was a really good fight, though, in general.
Yeah, the last hit was rough, but everything else was good.
Like, you can hit the boss from the side. Eggman's hitbox is really wonky. You normally have to hit him from the very top, which is really difficult typically. But with Sonic, if you time your insta-shield properly, you can hit him from the side. You can also opt to kill the gun, which makes it safer, but it's also slower, and it also triggers a different kind of hand pattern.
No, nobody saw that.
What are you talking about?
Exactly.
I think you're just I don't know, like
I think the game just crashed. He's
Yeah.
just starting over Techno Bass. No big deal.
so yeah, Techno Bass is one of those levels where if you get on the wrong path, things aren't necessarily good. If it happens quickly enough, then it's faster to just reset.
I forgot this one. Oops. The box didn't last long enough, the invisibility.
Yeah, that kind of is a kind of a trend in Sonic Advance too, because so many strats and routes are so dependent on keeping boost mode that if you lose it or fall into the wrong routes, then it's really punishing.
That's part of why a
So-
lot of people haven't like ran this game back in the day.
Yeah, it's a very punishing speedrun in general. It's, I would say, based on what little I've done messing around with the speed tech in this game, it's very rewarding when you get it. It feels awesome.
It's
But-
it's a really fun speed game.
Yeah, but when you don't get it, it's just incredibly frustrating. So it's one of those games.
If you run this game as a full game, you have to know like alternate routes or backup strats, because like you are going to mess up in almost every run. That's just how it is. So. Yeah, Techno Bass is one of the more technical levels. There's a lot of speed management you have to do, especially with avoiding certain objects in the air and making sure you have the appropriate number of rings with the appropriate air mobility.
Hi, Kirby. I see what you did there.
So Techno Bass 2 is one such example where there's a really fast route to beat the stage in like 40 seconds, but if you make a single mistake, you lose like 20 to 30 seconds usually, at least. It's a really punishing stage. But this combo is going to get his speed shoes, which is going to be really helpful because during the second half of the stage, he wants to make a giant jump, like 2 giant jumps over segments of the stage to take the fastest route possible. Which he nailed it and shipped through the stage pretty quickly.
That was really good.
42 is pretty solid. I think like IL records are like 38, 39 or something, so being a few seconds off of that is really good.
Yeah, as long as you don't fall, everything should go fine.
Yeah. So the boss here is so the previous boss we saw is a boss that's not very well programmed and has lucky hitbox. But this boss is random.
This is the worst
So the
boss.
platform-
That was the best,
this is the
best fight.
Nice.
And that fight was amazing. So, combo made it look easy and trivial when it's not. The platform patterns can be random and prevent you from actually hitting the boss. And when you try to get bounces on the boss, you want to get as many bounces in a row as possible. But that's effectively random as well. Sometimes you can get only 1 bounce, sometimes you can get up to 4.
So Kirby, about how many times do you think the boss goes that smoothly in terms of like?
Well, combo got an 11. Well, combo got an 11-second fight, I think, and the world record is like 9 seconds.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm talking about like bouncing off it like that, kind of in that general range.
Less than like 5%, at least for me.
Yeah, that's about what I figured. I was thinking like at most 10%. Like if you counted a little bit of variations, I could make it be slightly slower than that, but not often.
And I would generally be happy if I got a 20-second fight on that.
Basically.
Yeah.
I'm happy not getting a death.
Yeah, that too. That's pretty much, for pretty much every boss in this game, not getting a death is at least okay.
Yeah, this zone, ooh, nice. I like the backup. This zone is kind of the obligatory upside down zone. It's combo in my favorite zone to speedrun for good reason because it's really cool and fast and fancy, and has a lot of cool routes you can take as well.
It's another one of my
Reasons to go.
favorites to watch.
It's just really cool to watch. It's a difficult and technical zone, but it's also just very satisfying. Unfortunately, combo fell down in a spot he doesn't want to fall down, but it's pretty easily recoverable if you know the appropriate backup routes.
Everything went bad? No.
Ooh.
Ooh, oh, yeah.
Yeah, that was.
That happens.
Would you say, Kirby, a bad combo?
Delete this.
Yeah, fun fact. Combo destroyed a piece of the floor as a backup strat. Cream and Tails cannot destroy floors in this game. Because they don't have you can only destroy it with an aerial attack, I think. And Tails and Cream do not have any aerial attacks that can destroy floors. Knuckles, Amy, and Sonic can. So that is a nice little backup or shortcut that you can take only with the non-flying characters, basically.
The death.
No one saw it. Egg Utopia 2 is pretty awesome and really sick if done properly. So I guess we just let it play out for itself. I think I know the route the combo is going to take, and the route involves making sure you have around 100 rings, because eventually he's going to want to run down a long slope, and you need at least 100 rings to get boost mode at the end of that. And there's a random ring box in the stage that's going to matter, although typically speaking, play it properly, it shouldn't matter.
That was not a very good yield from that ring box. So...
I think it was 5.
Yeah, it was 5.
You can get 1, which really sucks.
Yeah, I could tell it wasn't 1, but it was still really low. I was paying attention for it. So that's unfortunate. It means basically he didn't keep going right there. But now he has 100 rings.
Oh, he's taking this route now.
Yeah, I fell down, so
Yeah.
I'll just play it out.
Yeah, as well.
But yeah, if he had been able to keep going on that route, he would have, and he had the rings to do it as well. He would have finished the stage.
I saw what you were trying to go for there.
It was. It was saved. That was saved, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, like, considering what happened, you did fine.
If I remember.
So the boss here.
No, you can talk about this boss.
Yeah, the boss has a kind of a gimmick with gravity, where if you press up, both you and Egg, well, you flip gravity when you press up, and vice versa if you press down or upside down. You don't control Eggman himself, but you can manipulate his AI.
This boss is simultaneously one of the most fun and aggravating in this game.
Yeah, it's kind of wonky with the programming, but if you get a good, it's pretty satisfying to get a good quick kill, and if you know how to manipulate the gravity appropriately, you can get like four hits in one jump by just wiggling back and forth in the air. 20 seconds is alright.
That was a pretty solid fight.
Yeah, it worked out.
So, this game has an actual boss rush, where you actually fight every boss you just fought. Thankfully, they only have half health, so they each take 4 hits each. So we're gonna see Combo go through all the bosses again at half health.
Yeah, when we did Sonic Speed R a while back, I think I was the one restreaming this game. Or either that or I was just watching it, and there were a couple people who got to this point, and after beating all these bosses, they were already really angry, and then they had to fuck them over. There's so much salt.
Yeah, I believe it. So, the third fight, the tower, has a more consistent quick kill, because the wall on the right, invisible wall on the right side is programmed a little bit differently, and if you jump at the right time while hugging it, then you can just kind of get stuck between Eggman's hitbox and the platform and hit him 4 times in a row and kill him. So, hopefully he gets it.
I didn't hold A, I think.
Release Sonic Speed R was 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's insane.
You're watching Sonic Speed R.
Sonic Speed R.
But now, you watching Sonic Speed 2018.
I played it.
Man.
I played you watching Sonic Speed R.
I saw little stretches you were doing, Combo. It's kind of funny. If you hold up with a character, normally characters have like a looking up animation, but in this game they have like an alternative animation where like Sonic does some stretches and stuff. Knuckles like does push-ups. Cream eats ice cream. I think Tails yawns and takes a nap. I don't remember.
I agree with Tails.
Sleeping on the competition.
Yeah.
There were many, many game overs in this part in Sonic's VR, as well as several rage quits.
Ugh. I remember Punchy talking about it a lot. He was not happy. Understand?
Oh, Punchy's rage was like, it was epic.
Disclaimer: we all love Punchy.
Yeah, he's legit a cool dude. I roomed with him this past AGQ. Would do so again, but his rage was entertaining.
Oh, yeah, so yeah, you get to see the merry-go-round boss or whatever kind of getting combo trouble.
Yeah, this is honestly more of a typical fight against
This
this
is what a
boss.
normal fight looks like typically,
Yeah.
except extended like 3 times longer for the full fight.
Yeah, worst
Yeah,
case
'cause
scenario
you need
is
twice as many hits.
worst case scenario is he just has all the platforms moving at the same time.
Yeah, it sucks when he does that. And it's like, what do you do?
Yeah, I've seen.
Rip best
I've wa-
mode.
I've watched Kirby get walled there, just like waiting for a chance to get a hit against that boss for like a minute.
Alright, so the actual final boss is coming up, and time will be coming up soon, so get ready for that whenever Combo calls it out. But you pretty much have to
Yeah.
hit the boss's head by using the... Sonic can't reach the head safe reliably from the floor, so he has to wait for one of the raised floors and then hit the head.
And getting the hits and avoiding all of the attacks is actually really pretty involved.
Ah.
Doing it optimally involves a lot of use of air tech, spin dashes, and so on. Yeah, you can get crushed like you did there.
I don't think the spikes actually crush you, if I remember correctly, they just hurt you.
Yeah,
I don't remember.
I just
though.
lost my
It's been a
ring,
while.
so
Yeah, he was at 0 rings. Okay, this fight, I don't think this fight's actually random, so like, with enough practice, you can do it pretty consistently. It just kind of comes down to how safely do you want to play it. Like, you can squeeze in extra hits here and there if you play it more dangerously.
that's what I go
And
for.
you, yeah, and you can attack the arms to some extent, but obviously it's faster to just attack the head and kill the boss first.
Alright, that's time.
GG.
GG on a crazy speed game.
The run itself, I would say, went well, except for the 2 deaths.
2652.
Was that?
2652.
Oh. Yeah, that's nice.
Nice.
I'd gladly take that. With me playing this game, I'd gladly take sub-hour, mostly because of the bosses.
Yeah, I mean, the bosses, like, if with practice, the bosses are notoriously annoying, but like, with practice, you can do them pretty relatively reliably with Sonic. So,
Yeah.
it just takes practice.
Till you get to the go round or
Techno
whatever.
Bass boss.
Anything you wanted to say?
Shoutouts to my brother.
Combro.
And see y'all at NASA. Yeah.